Welcome. Today we're going to learn how to write a quadratic equation given the vertex and another point on the quadratic or the parabola. Now, let's refresh our minds on what the vertex form of a quadratic formula is. It's y equals a, which is some stretch, times x minus h, where h is the position, the horizontal position of the vertex, in parentheses squared, plus k, where k is the vertical position or the y value of the vertex. So the h is the x value of the vertex, the k is the y value of the vertex. Now, given the vertex, we don't know a. We know the h and the k, which are nice, but we don't know a. But if we're given a point, some random point on the quadratic formula, or sorry, the quadratic equation, or the parabola, the graph, this x1, y1 point, we can rearrange this. So what I've done is I've rearranged it by minusing the k over to the y, and then dividing by the x minus h squared. Now I put a little subscript on the x and the y to indicate that those are x and y values for a point on the quadratic, on the parabola. Now remember, h and k are also points, values of a point, but they're specific to the vertex. So let's do an example really quickly. In your Excel program, they'll give you something like this. They'll give you the vertex is 0, 5, and they'll give you a point, or it passes through the point, -2, 4. So I've written those down here. Now we can almost write the equation right from this, because I can write y equals, I just don't know the a parentheses, x. Now my vertex x value is 0, so minus 0, which I wouldn't really actually write that. My k value, or my y value for my vertex, is 5 plus 5. So I just need to find a. So let's see if we can find a now using the point. Now, I would recommend, so you don't mess up, you write down which of these numbers are which. So when you plug them into this representation, you don't put the wrong number in the wrong spot. What I mean by that is this. I'm going to say h is 0, k is 5, because that's my vertex, x1 is -2, and y1 is 4. So now I'm going to use this form of the equation. I'm going to find my a value. A equals, I'm going to take my y1 value, which is 4. I'm going to minus off my k value, which is 5. K value, I put it in parentheses in case it was a negative, divided by my x1 value, which is -2, minusing off my h value, or my horizontal shift, which is 0. And I'm going to square that. Don't forget to square it. So now I got 4 minus 5, that's -1, over -2 squared is going to be 4. So my a value is a -1/4. Just don't accidentally make it a -4 on bottom, because a -2 times a -2 is positive. So now that I know what my a value is, I can actually write my equation. Y equals -1/4 x squared plus 5. The reason I didn't do the parentheses, because remember that's a 0 and I don't need to put it in there. So let's see if I've done this correctly. Y equals -1/4 parentheses x, oops, I don't need to do the parentheses, right? So it's x squared plus 5 plus 5. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to jump ahead because I know you're going to get some with these fractions. And you're going to go, oh, fractions, but they're no harder. So I'm going to write down that the vertex for this one is -2, -6. And the point that I'm passing through is 1 -15/4. So now I'm going to go back to my paper, and I'm going to do this whole process again with that vertex and this point. So again, it's not that difficult. I'm going to go right to finding the a value. A is equal to, now again, I need to find my y1. Now this, again, if it helps, make sure you realize the point is the x1, y1. The vertex is your h and your k. So y1 will be the negative 15 over 4 minus my k value. My k value now is a negative 6, all over my x value of the point, which is 1, minus my h value, which is negative 2, and that's in parentheses, and I square it. Okay, so now here we go. A equals negative 15 over 4. Minus and minus is plus. I'm going to get a common denominator of 4, so I'm going to add 24 fourths all over 1 minus a minus is going to be 3 squared. So then that equals, well, 24 minus 15 is going to be 9 fourths divided by 9. Now, remember how to do your fractions. 9 fourths times 1/9, because I flipped the bottom fractions, the 9's cancel, and I get a stretch of 1/4. That's my a value. So now I can actually write my equation. So I'm going to use this formula right here. So write this down if you need to, right here. I got to make sure I can see my value, so I'm going to kind of put it squampy here so you can still see the formula. Here's my vertex right here. This was my vertex. This was my a value. So remember, this is h and this is k. So y equals, what's a? I found a to be 1/4, parentheses, x minus h, but what was h? H was a negative 2. So when I minus a minus, it's going to be plus 2 squared. Don't forget the squared. And then plus k. What was my k? Negative 6. So minus 6. So now I'm going to go type in that expression into iExcel. So take a moment to write that down so you don't forget it. I have it written in front of me so I can still see it. Y equals 1/4, parentheses, x plus 2, parentheses, squared, minus 6. And lo and behold, excellent, we did it right. So again, don't let those fractions scare you. If you have questions on how to do this, again, please bring them to class. But if you haven't yet, write down these formulas right here. The vertex form, how to find a given a point, and the vertex.